back to the Real Estate Reserve Podcast. Jason Bale and Hard Money Bankers co-host Ian Horowitz, Equity Warehouse, back in studio. Glen Sutherland from Canada. Looking forward to another great conversation with Glen on a deal that changed his life. Might be a good deal, might be a bad deal. If you didn't check out Glen's first podcast episode that we did a few weeks back, definitely check that out. He's doing some really cool things living in Canada and investing in the United States. Not only does he own a pretty impressive portfolio, but he's also helped a lot of Canadians who want to invest in the United States. But even if you are local in the United States, there was still a ton of value from that podcast. So definitely check that out. Glen, welcome back to the show. Maybe start off real quick intro and then dive into a deal that changed your life for the good, for better or worse.
Sure. So I'm Glen Sutherland, host of the podcast, Canadian Investing in the U.S. I help Canadians invest in the U.S. There's coaching if that's of interest to you. And then I buy multifamily, single family, like 100 plus units, a whole bunch of single families, fourplexes, quads, 20 plexes, a little bit of everything. If the numbers work, I do it. Anyway, so you wanted me to talk about the deal that changed my life. And there's a lot of them, right? I think the first one was probably the one that changed my life the most because I realized it was scalable. But we kind of talked about that on the podcast. I'm not going to touch on that. But one thing I'm going to pick a fun deal. I'm going to pick a fun deal that actually worked out, and it worked out really well. So we were buying this. We started buying really cheap properties in Ohio, and I bought this $20,000 property, and it was a huge risk. We didn't know. We couldn't even get from the previous owner a lease, and we couldn't even get confirmed what the rent was on the property. And so our game plan was, we're going to close this. We'll get our team in there, the property managers. We're going to figure out what the rent is, what if this is going to work out. And as long as they're paying, it's reasonable because it's $20,000 property. Like, we don't have a whole lot to lose. Worst case scenario, we might have to keep them for a while, and then we'll do renovate the property, flip it, and that'll be the game plan. So we closed the property. I really had no idea what exactly the numbers exactly were on this property, but I was working with a partner who was more of a cowboy like me and willing to take some risks. So we bought the property, closed on the property, and it turned out that property was $20,000, and we were renting it for $1,400 a month as the rent. And we're like, hey, this is going great. We're not going to do anything. The tenant complained that they had some windows that were cracked and a few things. And we're like, hey, whatever they want, fix all that stuff up, property manager, and then we'll continue. So this was working out well. And we were renting the property. We insured the property for, I think, what its market value, could be as an ARV value of about, I think, $160,000. A little bit of foreshadowing there. So we're renting it out. And all of a sudden, I get a call from the property manager. We've been renting for about 8 or 9 months. And she's like, this property's on Campus Drive. She's like, it's gone. Campus is gone. And I'm like, what do you mean it's gone? She's like, it's completely gone. There's no campus anymore. And I'm like, what? And they're like, it's burnt to the ground. She sends me a link to CNN. It's on the freaking news, burning. I'll send you guys the video if you want. Fire everywhere, burnt to the ground. And I'm like, oh my goodness. But I'm like, okay, it was only $20,000 though. So, of course they go through the property and they find, gasoline everywhere. The whole thing was gassed. And so now I'm under investigation with Dayton Fire, Dayton Police in Ohio. And they're like asking me these questions. Who do you know? Who do you know who would do this? Everything. I'm going, oh my God, I don't know I've never been in a situation like this or anything. And, what comes out a week later in the newspaper is, the interviewer is there and they're interviewing the tenants. And they're like, oh, this is the worst thing that's ever happened to us. We just want home ownership. It sucks that this is the third time this has happened to us. Our house is burnt down. And the police and the fire department never talk to me again. Like, they're just like, yep, he's good. He's out. So they go after the tenants. And I don't know. Well, I wasn't involved in that part, so I don't know what happened. But you go do an insurance claim on the property. It's been completely burnt down. It was the easiest flip I've ever done in my life. We ended up getting the insurance money for the property. We ended up selling the lot off and the land and everything to do with that. And honestly, it changed everything. Because then once, when you're working with certain partners, you get cash poor. And so we didn't have a whole lot of cash to continue moving with this. And when we got that cash, we then, used a hard money lender. And then we just, did a bunch of fix and flip loans at high leverage. And we turned that property into a whole portfolio of properties just from that insurance money. And it turned out to be, hidden gem that it worked out really, really well.
Yeah, I think Jason's got a good fire story, something similar to that. It seems like many people that end up with fires. I have a decent one. Usually the insurance claims, if everything goes correctly, work out very, very nicely. And if you manage it correctly, you can actually lever it into a better asset. So yeah, taking a bad and turning it into a good is always a positive win. Sounds like the fire investigators picked up exactly on what I picked up on the third time, and I'm sure those people have since been investigated. But yeah, man, that's smart. Taking a lime, turning it into a lemon, or what is it? Turn lemon into lemonade. I don't know the sayings, but yeah, very, very smart. Glenn, where's the best place people can find you on the internet? They want to learn more about what you're doing, or they want to check out this video of how this house burned down.
Sure. It's CanadianInvestingInTheUSA.com or GlenSutherland.com with one N, or just go find my podcast. It goes by the same name.
Right on. We'll get all that in the show notes. Guys, if you got any value, we brought Glenn back on because he's actually a real investor doing real deals. That's what's the most important to us. And the best compliment we can give Glenn is giving him a share. So, Glenn, thanks for coming on, sharing all your information. Guys, if you got value, share it, and we will catch you guys on the next one.
Thanks for tuning in to the Real Estate Reserve podcast. Do us a favor and like, comment, and share our broadcast. It helps the algorithm and helps us spread the word too. Till next time, thank you for tuning in.